This gaming laptop deserves to be talked about on every aspect that it has. From its overall design down to its incredible performance, this ASUS TUF F15 is one of the most popular gaming laptops out there, and for sure you already know that. So let's review this one on the most ultimate way possible and check if it's still worth it this 2024. This exact model of ASUS TUF F15 that I have is FX506HC HN0A3W. If you're ever gonna buy this one, you should expect to carry a huge size box, as its whole package most of the time consists of the laptop itself, ASUS TUF F15, plus some freebies like this tough backpack which has a really good design and functional pockets inside and out. The main box of this gaming laptop has this trademark branding, and opening this, the ASUS TUF F15 inside is covered with this protective fabric. What I have here is the graphite black model with engraving designs on the front plate like this hairline brushstrokes pattern and the iconic honeycomb pattern on the back plate for ventilation. We also have the additional documentations like the ASUS warranty card, the user guide, and My ASUS Premium Care. With just the laptop itself, it weighs around 2.30 kilograms, and if you're gonna add the 180 watts power charger that came with it, that's gonna be another 0.50 kilograms. And obviously, just by judging at its appearance, it's quite bulky, with 2.28 up to 2.45 centimeters of thickness. Even though it's not that thin, which is the current physical trait of most laptop manufacturers are going for right now, that's still fine because it's a gaming laptop and requires a fully dedicated, quite complex cooling system, as we already know that this is capable of doing extreme workloads like gaming. And speaking about its performance, this ASUS TUF F15 is powerful for its price value. This is equipped with Intel Core i5-11400H processor with 6 cores and 12 threads. The graphics card is NVIDIA RTX 3050 4GB laptop GPU with 60 watts TGP. This also has total of 24 gigs of DDR4 RAM, and it consists of 8 gigs of Samsung RAM as it's built-in and 16 gigs of Lexar RAM as add-on for my upgrade. And both of these are running on 3200 MHz. The storage initially was only 512 gigs of Intel NVMe SSD, but I upgraded it as well, adding another 1TB of Kingston NVMe PCIe 4 SSD storage. Exploring on some physical parts of this gaming laptop, starting off with the display, we have this 15.6-inch Full HD 1920 by 1080p resolution with 144Hz refresh rate with adaptive sync and its anti-glare display. It also has 250 nits of brightness, which might throw off some people right from the start who haven't really used this right in front of them. But the reality is, it's not the standard for outdoor harsh environment, but it's enough. The built-in screen alone is one of the best perks of this gaming laptop. A high refresh rate built-in monitor with good amount of color support, whether you're a gamer or somewhat a video editor. But if you're on somewhat professional side that involves color sensitive work, honestly, based on my experience, not a single issue on gaming or color grading work, so it's still fine. But if you really need those accurate shades of color, then I would suggest you to get an external monitor. Overall, it's decent enough and you don't have to worry about this at all. On much more closer look on this ASUS TUF F15, let's talk about the other parts. We have this dedicated gaming style keyboard with emphasized WASD keys. It's also one zone RGB backlit keyboard with 4 different lighting modes, and it's adjustable on the built-in dedicated software of ASUS gaming laptop, which we'll talk about in a bit. And with it being part of TUF series, this keyboard can withstand 20 million key presses and has a overstroke technology for improving the responsiveness of your key strokes. Below that, we also have the touchpad with dedicated left and right click. Most of the people might not want this, but yeah, it's here. Obviously, basing on modern laptop designs, it's not aesthetically pleasing for some people, but it could still be helpful if you want to preserve and avoid some pressure on the touchpad itself. On the side parts of this ASUS TUF F15, it's like completely 2 different places. On the left side, it's stacked with all of these I/O ports, starting with power charging port, RJ45 port, HDMI 2.0, 2 USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type A, 1 USB-C or Thunderbolt 4 that has a display support which may vary depending on model, and lastly, a 3.5mm audio jack. On the right side, nothing much to see here. We only have a Kensington lock and another USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type A. And before we forget it, let's test this 720p built-in HD camera. So this is how it looks. It's up to you to decide what's your take on this, but for its base function, I think it's enough. But if you're gonna use this on professional level, like conferences and meetings, I think you need to get a good lighting. The audio that you just heard from that test, we also use the built-in microphone with AI two-way noise cancellation. Personally, I think it's decent enough, quite acceptable, especially considering it's a built-in part. But on the other side of audio-related stuff on this laptop, the two-speaker system is quite disappointing for me. Don't expect that much. I mean, if you're gonna use it just in front of you with complete silence, that's fine. But if there's some background noise like other people talking, it's gonna be a lot harder to hear. Honestly, for me, not really a good audio output as it easily gets conflicted by even low volume noises, but it's still usable though. Maybe we don't have the same criteria for audio output. But on the positive side, it supports 7.1 surround sound for better experience on gaming. But you know, just get a headphones. Thank me later. In terms of connection, it's Wi-Fi 6 certified and it's Bluetooth 5.3. The Wi-Fi works definitely fine, but there are some issues that I experience, like the Wi-Fi gets repeatedly disconnected from time to time due to compatibility issues regarding the driver's version and so on. It's also quite a challenge to connect steadily on LTE hotspots as it prioritizes Wi-Fi connection that is available and already remembered by your laptop. But you can further enhance your connection by enabling the Wi-Fi smart detection on my ASUS application. And now that we mentioned it, let's talk about some of its dedicated softwares. One of them is Armory Crate, which is the control center for almost everything. This is where you switch between DGPU and iGPU. This is where you set your laptop to turbo or silent mode. You can also change the lighting of your keyboard and sync aura effects. And also you can turn on the two-way AI noise cancellation here and a lot more. Don't listen to others that says it's terrible or what. It's functional, it's totally working, but there might be better apps alternative for specific use you need like monitoring thermals. It's up to you. We also have My ASUS, which is a health-related software for your laptop. You can troubleshoot the general state of your device or a specific part you want. You can also download and update essential drivers here, and most importantly, this is where you limit the charging capacity of your laptop, and this is where the battery comes in. The battery of this model that I have is a 48 watt-hour 3-cell lithium-ion, and the battery life of this laptop as advertised is 4.7 hours of web browsing and 7.3 hours of video playback. The exact settings that they did with this test is unknown, and we already know that most of these claims is just part of their marketing strategy. So I tested this on 2 different setups and here are the results. Take this only as a guide, as a stock result only without any crazy adjustments like undervolting. Obviously, I can make it better with some adjustment and settings. I already have a guide on that and I'll put some links in the description and up here. Take note as well that there's a lot of factors that may affect the results, such as the age of the laptop, the battery cycles you've already accumulated all throughout charging it, and some internal things like background apps or ghost apps that might be siphoning the battery life of your laptop without you noticing it. So let's jump into the main part of this laptop where it stands out, and that's gaming. These are the results that I have while playing some multiple games. Some of these are AAA games which are highly intensive graphic games. The main basis, or let's say goal, that I have on this test is to hit the max FPS of the games, or the max refresh rate of the built-in monitor, which is 144 Hz. Again, remember this has a display of 1920 by 1080p resolution with 144 Hz refresh rate. Basically, that's it. 1080p gaming, balanced settings, and the highest FPS it can get. We're also monitoring the thermals to just check how its performance right out of the box without major adjustments like undervolting. But actually, I'll be doing that as well later after this video has been published. I'm gonna be undervolting both CPU and GPU, and I will create a guide on how to do it step by step and give you guys the results. So make sure to subscribe for that. Take note as well that this test is done with only a laptop stand and with just the cooling system itself of this laptop. The room temperature is quite warm and it was a non-air conditioned environment at the time that I did this test to achieve more generalized results for various situations or people. But I have a standard laptop cooler here and another turbo laptop cooler, and I'll also create a guide on which one is better, efficient, or the appropriate one you should use, and if they are really helpful or worth it. So again, as long as it's 1080p balanced quality settings, I will do everything that I can to hit the max FPS of its built-in display, which good enough or even better instead of buying an external monitor. And based on these results that we have, we actually nailed it on almost every game that we tested here. So this ASUS TUF F15 is really a premium tiered gaming laptop. The exact price that I paid for it for the package unit only, it was $910 US. But as you can see the full breakdown on this, I also spent $55 US for the additional 16 gigs of DDR4 Lexa RAM, which was originally $110 US. I was just only given a discount. And the additional 1TB of Kingston NVMe PCIe 4 SSD storage, it cost me $38 US, which is for me overall it's a good investment and it's fair to win situation. But the important thing here is you can get this cheaper and I will help you. I'll put some links in the description for the best value or budget or the most worth it promising gaming laptops currently out there that you can just buy online. So what are my thoughts about this gaming laptop? First, the battery life is fairly decent. Considering how much power it needs for performance, it's just right, but not advisable for people who intends to use this most of the time remotely. I would suggest you to get a higher battery variant, but again, this is my personal review. If you're not into gaming or you don't see yourself on a professional work like rendering and stuff, I would still not advise this higher battery variant, but it's still better than building PC. In the first place, these gaming laptops draws a huge amount of power, especially these Intel processors and Nvidia cards. That's the price you have to pay for extreme performance that they offer, and obviously connected to that, battery life is already compromised. If you are using it on battery mode, expect a significant decrease on performance, whatever spec your laptop have, because the full max performance can only be reached when on turbo mode or while plugged in. Again, price that you have to pay, that's natural, and personally, again, my opinion, it's better than PC because of some advantages like portability. But back again to the performance related stuff, instead of going with Intel variants, you can go for some AMD processor laptops for additional 10 to 20% increase on battery life, as they are quite more energy efficient, but they are quite unstable as well. So basically, pick your poison between Intel and AMD processors. Or if you really need a reliable laptop with extreme good performance on CPU and huge amount of battery life that can last up for days without any compromise and without considering gaming, you can go for Macbook Air M1 with M1 Apple Silicon chip. Currently, up to this date, it's still the best in-value laptop you could get up until now. I'll put some links in the description for the product and some of my reviews as well on this, but make sure to be quick because this laptop was just discontinued this year, around first week of March 2024. So while there are still some remaining stock, you might want to get one for yourself before it's completely gone. In terms of value and pricing for this ASUS TUF F15, you know it's definitely worth it. Build quality and performance wise, just like what I said earlier based on the gaming test results that we have. And getting a laptop like this is a good investment already. Putting in mind this whole technology era that we're in that only started few decades ago, it's worth considering upgrading from stationary computer to this one. And you know, there are some lifestyle changes that now prefers laptops over building PC. So you don't have to complicate things, like this has everything. Upgradability, you can add RAM and storage, change or modify some of its components. You have the built-in stuff already on one device like the high refresh rate monitor, RGB keyboard, touchpad, huge amount of I/O ports. You don't need to buy or spend additional money for any of those things that could potentially cost your wallet unreasonably and take some space. Of course, there are some general pros and cons between laptops and building PC or investing on external or dedicated parts. But let's just focus on this. Everything is integrated, plug and play, and just enjoy the experience anywhere. Overall, this ASUS TUF F15 that I have, which is a 2021 version, if you're planning to get this one, remove that mindset that it's outdated just because it's a 2021 version. Yeah, right now, 2024, we already know every year tech companies releases their so-called new devices, but the reality is they're still the same with only few modifications and newer features. They're just slapping in the year number, but it's not really something you should go crazy around. And just so you know, one of the most popular laptop models out there with one of the highest sold units up until now is the ASUS TUF F15 2021 with i5-11400H processor and with RTX 2050. Older model, right? Because this is a high performance laptop. It's not outdated at all. 11th gen processors are standard for comfortably modern high graphic gaming, and it can pull off crazy workloads like heavy video editing while multitasking. The RAM speed support as well, nothing to go crazy about. Most of them runs on 3200 MHz, which is again the standard. There's really no need to jump on DDR5 RAMs yet, and it's not even widely used yet, and it still lacks support, especially if you're not a tech enthusiast, don't overcomplicate things. So generally, in conclusion, this ASUS TUF F15 is probably one of the best laptops you can get your hands on considering everything. From performance, portability, features, built-in parts, upgradability, a lot of stuff that's really equivalent as long as it's fair price. To be honest, you can build this on PC for lower price, but we're not gonna talk about that because in the first place, you're here, you're watching this. You have a reason why you're choosing to buy a gaming laptop instead of building one. So once again, ASUS TUF F15 still reigns as one of the top gaming laptop brands out there. So that's it. I hope this video helped you or you've enjoyed watching this. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe. It would really help me a lot. If you have any questions or suggestions, comment down below or follow me on my socials. Again, Hermes here. Thanks for watching and catch you guys on the next one.